Welcome to Crafted Edge Project Management. Crafted Edge is a professional PM services company specializing in project controls. Project Darios is a compilation of instructional videos for project managers and project controllers. It demonstrates how Microsoft Excel can be used to create an integrated project controls method. The previous videos showed you how to build a risk register and expand it to incorporate project issues and opportunities. I now build on the previous work to include success management, and specifically how key milestones can be tracked throughout the project. The result is a clear, high-level project status report. The back end of the spreadsheet is used to facilitate risk, issue, and opportunity discussion with a wider team. Specifically, in this video, I show you how to use some commonly available AI tools, as well as a way to seamlessly incorporate key data from Microsoft Project. Yeah, hi there. So the aim of this video is to explain how to create a KPI measurement tool for use in Excel. But what I want to do is bring in features from Microsoft Project and show how easily that they can come into Excel in a few clicks for use in the overall Darios template. So when scoping out a project, and certainly for the purpose of this exercise, you should make use of AI as much as possible. So I'm going to write a short description of how I want to outline the schedule in Microsoft Project. When using AI, it's usually useful to describe the function of the task you want AI to perform. So I'm saying the function of the task is that it puts the AI bot, if you like, in the position of project manager for an electronic systems company. Then I try and provide specific sentences of what I want the bot to do. A list of 6 work packages. I want a single list, and then I want 6 tasks under each list. And I've said do not use more than 2 words per work package or task, so I can get a nice concise list. And that each task should have a unique identity. And this is key, that the list should be suitable for export as a table. What that will mean is it will produce a list that I can take into I'll actually bring it into Excel and then take it into Microsoft Project in a few steps. So this is the idea. We're creating a single list from Microsoft Project. But equally, you might want to use a more expansive list if you're scoping out a project in order to create an initial project charter. I find it quite useful to use AI for these functions, and then to go in and just rewrite and tidy them up manually. So let's see what results we get from this set of instructions. Okay, it's done the list. It's not exactly what I wanted, but having said that, we're going to manipulate it some more within Excel and Project. So the key things are, it's given me a list of tasks, providing thinking points for each project work package. And it's done essentially what I've asked it to do, albeit it didn't provide it as a single list. But one of the key things it's done is produce this output to Excel. So I can just click on that. And what you can see now is it's done a nice list of work packages in Excel. I did say that I need a single list for Microsoft Project, so I'm just going to go ahead and tidy this up a little bit. So all I'm going to do is move my individual tasks underneath the work package, just by bringing these in. Just bringing the headers over the top of the individual tasks. You could no doubt spend longer in AI getting it to do exactly what you want, but it's all to do with how much time you're willing to put in. In this case, it's nice and easy just to just to go in and make some updates. So for me, that's okay now because I've now got a single list of tasks. As I say, what we can do is when we bring this into project, we can I'll show you how to manipulate this data better in order to create a schedule. And then the purpose is then to identify key performance indexes from that schedule and bring them into Darios for high-level success monitoring. So I've opened up a brand new project in Microsoft Project Professional. What I'm going to do now is go back to my list of tasks. I'm just going to grab those tasks just by copying them. I'm just going to copy all those tasks. And then I'm going to paint them directly into Microsoft Project. There you can see it's pasted all the tasks into Microsoft Project. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just create a basic Gantt chart with project milestones listed at the top, so I know that I've got 6 work packages and I'm going to associate a milestone with each of those work packages. But first of all, I'm going to set up the work packages and the tasks underneath them. So I'm going to identify what the tasks, I'm going to identify the tasks associated with the work packages underneath their work package. So I know I did 6 tasks underneath each work package. I've got a button here called indent task. Now what I do is I actually right click on that and I always save it up to my toolbar. So because I work with indent task all the time, I find it useful to have that permanently at the top of my toolbar for a single selection. So I'm going to go ahead and work my way down, just gathering these 6 tasks per work package and indenting them across. Okay, so now I've got the work package tasks listed underneath their individual work package headings. What I can now do is put a nominal duration for each of those tasks, just for the purpose of this example. So if I was to put 5 in here, it's going to put a duration of 5 days. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that down, so it's 5 days per task. Now I know I've got blocks of 6 tasks here, so I'm just going to copy those blocks in all the way down, just to put a nominal amount of days for each task. So now it's time to put some sort of order in the way the tasks are happening. Now, for the purpose of this exercise, I'm going to make this a classic waterfall style setup where each task is dependent on the previous task completing. So that will be for work packages as well as individual tasks within a work package. So in order to, what you can see there is we've got the little blue pin, the question mark. It means all these tasks are set to manual mode, but what I want them to be is all in automatic mode, so that things can be automatically scheduled. Otherwise, the tasks are only going to be scheduled on the manual dates that you input. So the quick way to do that is just to highlight all the tasks by going up to this square at the top left. And then you've got the auto schedule button just there. So if you press that, all tasks will be auto scheduled depending on how you set up your dependencies. So I'm just going to click that. You see it's changed the color of the Gantt chart bars now, and it's changed the little shape, the mode. It's switched every single task into auto schedule. So now you'll notice at the top of my taskbar, I've got this little link button. Now, again, it's another button that I've dragged up to the quick access toolbar because I use it all the time. What you can do with it is quickly link tasks in sequence. So if I was to highlight these 6 tasks and press the link button, it's going to put that, it's going to link each task with its predecessor. Okay, so just by simply highlighting the 6 there and clicking on the link button, those tasks are going to be performed in order, as you can see in the Gantt chart to the right. and a task will not be able to start until its predecessor has completed. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now for the remaining the remaining 5 groups of 6 tasks. And now that that's done, what I can do is depend work packages on prior work packages being completed. So, for example, the site surveys aren't going to start taking place until the requirements work package is finished. And to do that, if you just click on the high level work package and then click in the little arrow button there, you can see like a miniature overview of the tasks. So what I can do there is make sure that my site survey work package is dependent on the requirements work package just by checking the requirements checkbox there and pressing enter. If I escape out of that now, I can see that the site survey is dependent on the requirements being complete. Okay, so in a minute I'm going to take this up and complete milestones for each work package. But right now I'm going to work my way down and just depend each work package on its predecessor work package being completed. And then as you can see, if I was to zoom out just by clicking in the right window with my control button using my mouse wheel, I can just change the scale of the duration and I can see my tasks being completed in a sequential method. So of course, going back to the purpose of this exercise, I wanted to create some KPIs for inputting into my Darios tool. So the KPIs are going to be project milestones. Now these could be financial milestones associated with the project. So simplest way to do that is to create milestone being paid upon each of these work packages being completed. That's fairly realistic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this title at the top because it's there. I'm going to call it Project Darios, the name of the project. What I'm going to do is make sure all the tasks underneath it are indented underneath Project Darios. There we go. So Project Darios has got 6 work packages. Now I'm going to create my milestones, which may be financial milestones. So I'm going to simply click in the task I want to insert a task over, and then again I've got this useful insert task button that I've copied up to the quick access toolbar because I use it all the time. I'm going to click in there. I know I need 6, so I could just click 6 times. One method you might want to use is to highlight 2 rows, for example, and then insert a task. Then you'll get 4. If I click 4, I'll get 8. That's a quicker way to create new tasks. So now what I'm going to do is create my milestones. One key thing to remember about milestones is they are all 0 days in length. That makes them a milestone. Okay, so put in your duration as 0 days. Copy that down over the tasks. Okay. Now I know my work packages are going to be called 1 to 6, so I'm just going to label them accordingly. And then I'm going to make one thing I spotted there is that these need to be automatic tasks. Remember what we said? Highlight them all, click on auto schedule. And I'm going to schedule them on completion of the associated work packages, okay, at a high level. So work package 1, I go into predecessors, and I go down, and it's going to be on completion of that requirements work package. And you can see your first milestone being completed there. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for the rest of them now. Okay, so as you can see there now, I've got my 6 milestones being set up for completion at the end of each milestone completion. Okay, so you can see them across 1 to 6 there. Now, one thing it's good practice to do is to be able to measure success directly on the Gantt chart. We should set these milestones up with deadlines. I'll show you what happens when we do that. So the easiest way to do that is to create a new column just by going insert column and calling up the deadline function. Now these deadlines have been set as the finish date for each of these milestones. Yeah. So if I was to copy these dates for the finish date, it's milestones the same as the start date. Copy those, paste them in. I get this little green arrow now, my milestone. That means it's a deadline. So if I ask for shift, if I was to put down that this gather specifications task was going to take 10 days, you can see that the overall tasks have all moved 10 days to the right, but you can still see my original intended finish date, which is my deadlines in green. You can see where they varied off the deadline. Now, for the purpose of this exercise, what we're actually doing is monitoring success. And now what that would be, if we're measuring milestones, it would be when we anticipate these milestones to be completed compared to the baseline schedule. Okay, so compared to what we originally set out under the contract to achieve, what are our forecasted completion dates? Now, the best way to do that is to baseline the schedule, because if you baseline the schedule, you can then use Microsoft Project to do all sorts of clever things like earned value analysis and stuff like that. That's beyond the scope of this video, but it was within the remit of what you can do with Microsoft Project going forwards when you do specialist schedule management. So if I want to baseline a schedule, I'm happy with these milestones that I've set. I simply click in the project box and I go set baseline. What that does, it brings up these dialog boxes, and I'm setting the baseline for the entire project, so I'm not changing anything, and that's set a baseline now. Okay, so I'm now going to expose the baseline date. Remember, it's not the deadline date, it's the baseline date. Okay, so once I've set that baseline, I'm going to expose that baseline date. So in order to do that, I'm going to insert a new column, and it's my baseline finish date. Okay, so I'm looking for that baseline finish. There it is. And you can see now I've set a baseline that's going to be populated the same dates, same finish dates I have in my schedule. So back to the purpose of this exercise is I want some metrics to measure against. I want to measure my baseline finish against my anticipated finish date. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remember those fields that I want. That is, I'm going to use the name, I'm going to use the baseline finish, and I'm going to use the anticipated finish date. So that's 3 columns from this spreadsheet. And I'll show you a simple way to export that into Excel in a format that it can be called upon using a Power Query. Just with a simple save from Excel, Power Query will do the rest. So if I was to say File, Save As, and save this, just make sure I've got it in the right location. If I was to save this as a Excel workbook, it's going to give me some prompts. It's going to take me through a wizard. Now, bear with, I'm going to say next. We don't want the Project Excel template. We just want to select a few bits of data. So we keep it on the default, selected data. And this is going to be a new map. So again, sticking with the defaults, nothing complicated. And we only want some task information. I'm not interested in resource management, who tasks are being assigned to. So the only change we're making from this export wizard is we're asking for tasks to be selected. And then remembering those fields that I needed, just 3 fields. First was the name. It's got name. It's going to map the project name field to an Excel name field. The next was my baseline finish. It's going to map that to the same name field in Excel. And the next was my actual expected finish date, or just finish. And again, it's going to map that across to an Excel field. So that's just those 3 fields. It's going to create me a simple Excel file with those fields in if I finish this off. And as you can see, the outputted Excel file has got just those 3 fields in it. Now don't worry about too much that it's got all the different tasks. We're only going to need these top 6 work package, baseline finish, and estimated finish dates. And I'm going to show you a really quick way to clean that up on the fly in Excel. So all you got to do is refresh the Darios spreadsheet, and it will just take in this key information. So now that we've created the list of tasks, what I want to do now is show you how to bring them into the Darios spreadsheet automatically just by dragging the data in from this file. We're going to measure the success by measuring the finish date compared to the baseline finish and flag any red flags. So as you see, this is the data I'm going to use, and now I'm going to bring that into my Darios spreadsheet. So I've opened up my Darios spreadsheet, and this is where I want to bring in the KPI data to. So I'm going to create a bit of space for it first of all, just by inserting some rows. Again, if you go 2 at a time and just insert a row, it's going to insert 2 more rows above it. So I'm going to create a little bit of space for putting the register in. Then I can bring my data in. Let's make sure we've got plenty of room there. We can always tidy it up later. So what I'm doing is bringing this data in from that saved spreadsheet of KPI data. So that's as simple as saying get data from file. It's a Excel workbook. And it's my Darios. It's my project data that I saved just now. So I'm importing that data. And when you import the data, if you select the task table information, it gives you a preview of what the data will look like when it comes in. So I see my tasks there as they were in Excel. My baseline finish, this is my contractual agreed finish date, and my actual finish date as it stands in the schedule. Now I'm going to want to transform this data because I'm only interested in these top work packages coming in. So when I'm cleaning up the data, I can see that I've got my baseline start and finish showing as a time and a date. So what I'm going to do is just click on the little clock there, just change it to a date for both the baseline finish and the finish date, adding that in as a new step. So I'm just showing dates now for those. Now I wanted to filter out everything other than the work package names. So I'm simply going to put a text filter in there on the filter and say that it begins with WP for work package. And see, now I've got my data as I want it with the work package listed, the baseline finish date and the finish date. I'm going to be careful here to close and load to because I want to put this data in a specific place in the Darios spreadsheet. And then it brings up this table, existing worksheet, and you can see it's selected this cell here. So if I just click on that and say OK, you can see it's brought my data in. So now I can see that I need to do a little bit of formatting now, just to get my data in a common format with the data below it and make it into a okay, so we've got a nice tidy up of the sheet now. So what I'd like to do is just raise some flags. The expected finish date is later than the baseline finish date. So I just want to turn things red just to highlight there's a potential problem with our forecasted milestone dates. So the easiest, it can be a little bit tricky, so you've got to be a little bit careful here. But the easiest way I can see to do this is to go into conditional formatting and to create a new rule. And in the new rule, we're going to use a formula to determine the cells to format. And the formula is going to be, if you select this arrow, you can go and choose the cell, and you're going to choose the finish date. And then you're going to say, just be careful there that you're going to make the column an absolute reference, and the row will be relative. So if you put a dollar before the C and remove the dollar before the 13, so you go C13, and then greater than dollar B13. That's the rule. So you're going C13 is greater than B13, so your finish date is later than your baseline finish date. We're locking in the column references there, so that when we copy the formula down, it's going to increase the columns, and it's going to stay locked on the. Sorry, it's going to increase the rows, but it's going to stay locked on the column. Okay. So we've got $C13 is greater than $B13, and we're going to make it red. So essentially, if the finish date goes above the baseline finish date, we're going to raise a flag on that finish date. Okay. So let's give that a test. If I was to manually change the date in there to the 8th of the 7th, you can see that it's raised a flag on that date. Okay, so if I want to copy that formula down now, the reason I locked that formula type in is so that I can now just copy the format using the format painter and copy that formatting down, and it will remember it will stay locked on the column, but will move down, the rule will move down with the rows. Yes, the rows will stay relative. So let's test that out on some individual rows. If I was to say that where package 4, for example, finished on the 12th of July, sorry, 12th of October, be later, wouldn't it? That's going to change that to red, so I know that that's working. The presentation, you say I've tidied this report up quite nicely now. It's a single report from this spreadsheet. The team, with your various stakeholders of the team, you can work through quantifying risks, putting values on risks, quantifying opportunities, quantifying issues. What that does then is it brings all that data into a summarized report, risks, issues, opportunities, for sign-off. But what it also does is it brings in KPI data with a simple save of your current Microsoft project plan. Hope you find this useful, and any issues or anything you want to discuss, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you.